So this is going to be normal, stop, and straight.
This exercise is the 20-foot weave.
You will clutch walk the bike from the staging area, through the front door, through your father's house, through your childhood home, and U-turn at the master bedroom, stopping at the kitchen.
You're going to be exercising the slow, sharp turn.
Oh, wow. This one's really difficult for me.
You're going to be practicing drills that will help you in turning and cornering at higher speeds, such as curves and highways and winding roads.
The exercise is obstacle swerve. Practicing this exercise properly will help you swerve to avoid a potential hazard.
I'm going to suggest that you clutch walk over to the other house.
Every time I go in the bike, it's like my fear, it's kind of hovering a little bit, but it's okay to have fear. Fear, you cannot let take over. You just have to be present at all moments, all the time. And that's the beauty of the motorcycles, to be present, to stay connected. It'll teach you.
I'm kind of thinking about my father during this whole process as well, how he went through those emotions by himself. I feel like I'm understanding things from his perspective a little bit better as well. When I went to Guadalajara, I went there with the intention of asking my father for his motorcycle. I was telling him about the trip. I started feeling like I was my father's oldest son coming back to sort of take what was mine. We eventually came to an arrangement, a trade, my motorcycle for his Moto Guzzi. And eventually, my father and we went to practice in a parking lot. He wanted to see if I could ride the bike, and I did. And after that, actually, it's like our relationship has changed. Now we talk about bikes. We have something to connect with, and I think that it was at this moment he started seeing me as maybe the son that he wanted.
On the one hand, we have all this freedom as women. We can do anything, we can be anything, and we can masculinize ourselves and achieve a certain sensibility, but it never really works. You know, right now it feels like you're the son, but there's going to be a moment where you're going to be like, oh, you're being such a dude.
Exactly.
So about a year ago, I took a trip from China to Los Angeles on a motorcycle with some friends. I decided my motivation was to take my mom around the world. She had died earlier, so I named my motorcycle Marge, which is her name. And the money that I used to go on the trip was money that my dad had left me when he died. He kind of denied my mom. My mom was always an intrepid world traveler, and she always wanted to go around the world, and she never went in her lifetime. And so I named my bike Marge, and we went around the world. And then, you know, a lot of fear associated with that. It's a big thing to go to places that you only maybe read about.
The first things you learn when you go riding with people is that you don't ride someone else's ride. You got to ride your own, because otherwise, you end up trying to keep up, and you end up working outside of your own personality and working outside of your own skill level, and that's always dangerous.
Like I always feel like it's not really facing death, but you're aware of it. When I was writing, all I could think about is exactly what I was doing at that moment, taking that turn, looking where I want to go. What I like is that I can't think about anything else, even art. I just think about the ride, and that is an amazing and very rare space to be in.
A bike is not a motorcycle. I started riding two wheels on an older girl's beach cruiser when I was 4 or 5. Was I flirting or showing off? I rode the sidewalks of Bellflower in suburban LA County, where our cousin lived. We lived a few miles away, where we shared a room and a bunk bed, and at night, we would talk about our mutual preschool crush, Jamie Branch. We moved to the Mojave Desert when I was 6. The desert was carved into blocks that had streets wrapped around them, and there were very few houses on our block. The first Christmas we lived there, our parents got us tiny BMX bikes. We got out shovels and dug ourselves a dirt bike track. For years we rode this track, adding jumps and berms here and there, making jumps higher, and trying to deal with our fears of landing. On the wide, paved streets that ringed the desert blocks, we pulled each other behind our bikes on skateboards. taking turns pedaling while the other clung to a dog leash clipped to the bike. We ate it hard a few times before we ended this. Our uncles had quads and dirt bikes. We straddled them as we rode behind them through the desert near our grandparents' house. Many years later, when you were old enough, you got a dirt bike of your own.
I was interested in riding since I was a teenager, but I didn't actually get a bike until I was in my early 30s. I just knew I wanted to learn, and then when I finally had the opportunity, I just did it. You're not in a cage, you're exposed to the elements, there's nothing around you. I mean, this is both the beauty and the fragility of it. The fear doesn't go away. You become more confident, and your bravery gets bigger than your fear, and you become more skilled. And so you trust that if there's a situation, you'll be able to handle it. You just pay attention, calm yourself. If you get anxious, it just makes it worse.
Why did I want to learn? What made me curious and fearless? I was tired of the dependent view and the experience. I just wanted to know what it was like to drive myself. For weeks, I'd ride along streets to all my meetings, leaving the warmth of the garage in the early morning to turn into the fog, the cold and damp seeping in through my sleeves, all my possessions in my backpack. Every red light became a potential interaction. And yes, it did open a whole new level of understanding into my surroundings, especially smell, but more than that, it helped me understand the many men in my life who had ridden motorcycles. It was a way of inhabiting space that is, if not more masculine, then more habituated by men. After about 3 years of riding, I got spooked and stopped riding. But I had proved to myself what I needed to, that I could ride by myself. Through it, I gained a massive understanding for the freedom and physical sensation of joy that riding brings.